I turned 56 years old this last Saturday, and that just doesn't seem possible when I think about it. I think I'm still 18. Well, yeah, maybe in your mind. I sometimes even go out and do something that I used to do when I was 18 or in my 20s, and I wake up the next morning and my body says, "Hey, guess what? You're 56. You're not 18." Thanks for reminding that. I can't talk. Reminded me of that, old body. So, yeah. Hey, let me stop and introduce myself. My name is Jeff, and thanks for stopping by the channel. 56. What's it like? Well, I've only been there a few days. Ain't much different than 55. But there's just such a shift in life. And I got to thinking about, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with this? Because sometimes things are just so much harder in life. Being at this age, what you can do physically, what you can't do, or what you wish you could do, what takes you longer to do. And you can just see things changing in such a way. Then you talk to somebody that's in their 60s, they say, well, everything was good till I reached, 60, 65. Then everything just started going south and falling apart. Well, that's just what I want to hear. Thanks. Makes me just looking forward to this next birthday coming up next year, But the biggest thing for me that I'm kind of having to, I guess you may say, is to reinvent yourself. I don't know if that's the right word to say, right term to use. But changing your way of thinking, life would change your way of thinking sometimes for you. Because you realize, okay, yeah, I'm older. Things are not the same. And I've got a journey ahead of me that I know nothing about. I have seen other people, take. So what am I going to do with my journey? Well, one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to enjoy it to the best of my ability. Because a lot of the journey that I've lived through life is that I wasn't present in the moment. I had too much on my mind, too many things going on, stayed in my head way too much, worrying about not having enough money, and worried about doing this and that, and having my identity tied to the wrong things. And so I just have decided, I don't want to be that way anymore. And I'm at a point, right now, I'm in my kind of, I guess you could say, the pre-retirement years. Because I have this, retirement date in my mind. And that's kind of a weird feeling, because you get to thinking about, I really want to retire. I would love to retire. But then you think about, work is all you've ever done your whole life. And what's that going to be like? Well, I've watched other, YouTube videos on that of people that have retired, and they talk about how wonderful and how great it is, and the experience of their first year with that, or their first 2 or 5 years with that. And it always, most of them end up out, it's not all about having enough money and all that kind of stuff. You got to be prepared, and you need to prepare. That's smart. But in the freedom that they have, in the time that they have, and doing things that they've always wanted to do, well, I'm looking forward to that. But what I've done in this last year really has not really been a good thing for me, is that I have concentrated on that so much about retiring that I kind of checked out a little bit more than I should have. And I've been really trying to make some things work where I could retire earlier. And I really have just daydreamed, I guess you could say, about that so much that it kind of gave myself away to that, and it kind of stole a little bit of my time and not doing my job to the best of my abilities, put it that way. Because like I say, I've just kind of checked out. And I shared another video, you know, I'm within 5 years of possibly retiring. And so I think I can't check out yet. It's not time yet. I got to stay here, and I got the responsibilities of doing a good job. That's what I was hired to do, and I've got to stay there and do that. So, yeah, I've been in the pre-retirement years. It's kind of weird at this age, and then I see people, my age that's retiring or has retired, and you thought, oh man, it kind of reminds me that when I was younger and I wasn't married yet, and I seen people getting married, and I didn't think I was ever going to get married. Well, I did, and had 3 wonderful children as well, wonderful wife, and retirement's coming. I mean, life has its cycle. If you don't pass away first, retirement's coming, and you'll have that. And we say retirement, it's another stage of life. You think about retirement, you think, well, I'm just going to go home and do nothing. No, it's another opportunity to do something new. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is another opportunity to do something new and something different, and live the life with maybe some help and maybe a little money to do a little bit with. We'll see how that goes. I told somebody, I said, when I retire, I got enough things to do at my house to keep me busy for a very long time. But I got to think about, what am I going to do when I retire? And, well, I do have some plans for that. And I think about a little bit of that in these, pre-retirement years. Try not to stay there too much in my mind, but I do think about it like this. But, I thought, what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Walmart. Earlier in the day, during the week, while all the working people was at work, well, I don't have to fight the crowd. Because I've had some days off for a time or two when I got to do that. And I thought, oh, this is what the world's like when everybody else is at work. I'm going to fish during the week. While the working people at work, and then on the weekends, they can have the lake, and I'll stay at the house and barbecue or just hang around and relax. Just different things like that I'm looking forward to. And, that's kind of where the mind is a little bit at 56. Helping people more. That's one thing that, I'm doing now, is just being there for people. And pouring as much into my kids that I can, the 2 that I still have at home, and just trying to be a better version of myself each and every day at 56. I'm going to close this right here on this video. A lot of people are out there that didn't start out very well in their life. They didn't do really good in the beginning. But you know what? You can finish well. You can finish this race in life well. And that's what I want to do. Not easy. Life's hard. Life's just rough at times, and it has its own challenges it throws your way. But, hey, we can finish well. If you like this kind of content, I know this video is just a little bit everywhere, but if you like this kind of content, you know what to do. Have a great day.